requires very, very high technicalities to actually execute it out.
Alright, so we're gonna see how they execute it at the end of the day because GPX also loves their Lancelot, one of their top picks as well in the jungle department. I can say that in terms of versatility, we have seen a GPX actually pulling off something different. Like, for example, we don't see this much Archive. Although it's really popular, I really like Archive personally. But Archive is only played once by GPX. Unfortunately, it didn't bring them the success they would have liked. But anyway, it just shows that they have that versatility a little bit more in the jungle department. And we know how important the jungler role is because it kind of dictates the game. I would say jungler as well as a roamer dictates the game the most. So as long as we can see the jungler fight, whoever wins the jungler fight, I think will bring a good advantage to each other.
Well, without further ado, we're jumping in towards the drafts here. MHRLK is what's going to be banning it off the Kadita as well as the Joy coming in from GPX. Pretty standard openings here for the SPS, but I also agree what you brought up as well. The Archive jungler is a great way to deal with heroes like the Fanny as well as the Cult Altar to kind of isolate them and pin them into a very, very nice kill box. So I wouldn't be surprised if they save the jungler role to kind of open things up a little bit more, but I'm genuinely curious on whether or not are they going to still go for the standard pickups here where they pick up the Fredrin and then, you know, GPX goes for a Eve pickup, a composition, yada yada. But if they do that, they have to force pick a Glue or even a Valentina, which is a very, very big problem, right? First picking Fredrin is always safe. Flex it in XP, flex it in jungle. Let GPX kind of decide what kind of mages they want to go. In this case, MHRLK, they ban off Valentina, clear indications that they might be going for the Faramis composition instead.
Yeah, and I'm kind of surprised that no one as of now bans out Minsittar. If GPX doesn't, we can expect Minsittar to be picked.
I agree.
Although Minsittar has yet to be played by any of these teams in the tournament so far, but because it's a counter, even when I play my ranked games as well, I see so many Minsittar picks on the other side especially, and it's a very good upgrade as compared to before.
That's the thing, right? You can play it as fighter, you can play as a tank. Tank so far has been more reliable to suit the current triple tank composition, right? Fighter, you're going for attack speed, build, but you're not necessarily the tankiest when it comes to this kind of compositions. But first pick here, with the Beatrix being banned, carry is also available to be up for grabs for now. So that means they can look to go for the Faramis coming from MHRLK Esports. Very nice. But GPX, they don't have the Valentina, might be forced to play the Eve, might be forced to play an early Archive as well, which kind of gives away the Frederick composition. So this is going to be a very big problem for GPX because they need to find a way to deal with the Faramis in particular right now.
Yeah, that means that if the theory of Glue is being countered by Faramis, we might not see a Glue being picked up. So other options for GPX that Ziri kind of like is Benedetta. He does like a Benedetta. He has played a Terizla before, he has played a Grok before, he even has played a Yuzong before. So we do see that he has some other heroes to play, but of course the bigger question is that for Faramis, Faramis so far has a really good win rate for MHRLK. Out of the 4 times they pick Faramis, 3 times win. So looking good for them.
Oh, GPX, they open up with the Lancelot and the Farsa. These are great ways to force out a very, very premature Cult Altar coming from MHRLK Esports. And, you know, knowing that they can pick the Glue, MHRLK Esports, they are pretty much going to guarantee themselves by picking up the Glue to actually face off as well. GPX, they know perfectly well. They either need to go for the Lapu Lapu or maybe even the Benedetta if they want to actually go in for the crossband plays, right? This is MHRLK Esports saying that we want to play a team fight composition, but the problem is, do they have what it takes to go for the split push potential, or just completely ignore the Glue just because of how irrelevant it is to GPX? But for safety-wise, GPX might consider just banning off. But looks like they will let it slide for now. They will go for the Kaja too. Very, very strong pick-off compositions alongside the Arlot as well. Completely ignored by GPX. Gonna be a big problem. But at the same time, with the Minsittar from the side of GPX, it may be able to completely annoy MHRLK Esports' progression.
If I were to give any good news to GPX, despite the Arlot has been picked, right? So MHRLK only played 1 Arlot in this tournament series so far, and that one pick didn't bring them the win. So yeah, if GPX was like, okay, oh Arlot, oh we gotta be scared. Nah, don't worry about it. The stats don't favor but the stats do favor the Melissa pick. Oh, in fact, actually not. Okay, so
Well, unfortunately.
yeah, I had to relook that again. So unfortunately, 3 times picking it, but it's not the best pick for GPX.
Yeah, this is a big problem for GPX. Melissa is a great way to actually deal with the Cult Altar, but at the same time, getting, you know, flickered Divine Judgment, if your hands are a little bit slow, it's going to be a little bit of a problem because this Melissa is going to get completely melted from the side of MHLK Esports. However, there is still a good counter, and that is going for a Yin, which is, we haven't seen too much of popularity, but Yin is a great way to just isolate a Faramis all by himself. We haven't seen too much in pro plays, but technically it is a very, very good hero to deal with. However, now, with the Kufra being banned from MHLK Esports, another mobility hero, I'm pretty sure MHLK is going to be banning the Minstar final ban, probably, but GPX, they have to start icing out marksmans. Moskov is something that they both really, really like to do. Brody is actually pretty decent as well, considering how squishy GPX's composition is. They don't have the strongest frontliners right now, especially with a tank slot who arguably is going to be diving the back line, not going to be able to zone out properly for the far side Melissa.
I'm kind of interested to see whether the Grok will be picked at the other day, especially by GPX, because they definitely could use something to kind of catch up to Tasha. But okay, still the glue ban.
I'm
interesting.
surprised.
Yeah, I'm surprised as well because like what you said, Faramis is a counter to glue. So in theory, they shouldn't be too worried about it.
Yeah, I'm really surprised that they opted to actually ban off the glue. It's a little bit weird, but I guess just because Glue does kind of win his 1v1 matchups against the Arlot, but towards the middle stage of the game, it doesn't really matter that much. But speaking of Rock, you called it. They are going to bring it from the side of GPX, and it is going to be either a roam or XP. They are going to be flexing it out, but at the same time, it makes a lot of sense why they want to take the Grok. Just because it is one of the very few that can actually deal with the Farsa. But I don't think MHLK wants it at all. They already have the XP laner, they already have the jungler. Technically, they don't have the jungler, but Arla jungle might be a way, but MHLK bringing in the Harif as a gold laner. Not exactly sure how this is going to work out, considering that GPX doesn't have like a lot of heroes to actually deal with it, but they are going to go for the split push composition. So Ling and Harif is going to be the way to go for MHLK Esports. A lot of split push and pick off potential, but when it comes to front fight, it feels like GPX just has a stronger composition to work with.
Yeah, I do feel that GPX as a team fight, they are definitely better. Of course, you have the Farsa, you have the Grok, who can deal a lot of damage, who can lock down other heroes as well, so that's the advantage. But I think this is also what in the trash talk they did mention that, okay, their aim is to take down your turret in the first minute. So maybe that's what they have in mind. They have more mobility here, they have a lot of pushing ability as well. So I got a feeling, my gut feels that they're going to play a fast game.
Oh wow, Terisla, final pick from the side of GPX on the XP lane to deal with all this wombo combo. The penalty zone gonna completely hotlock a couple of heroes here from the side of MHLK Esports, denying a little bit of mobility. I was expecting the Minsitar, but with that being said, coming from GPX, they definitely look like they have a stronger wombo combo compared to MHLK Esports, whereas MHLK Esports, they have a very, very strong split push gank and early rotations, but if they do not close out the game quick enough, things are gonna get spicy for them.
And here we go, ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look at our game number 1 today. Can't wait to see who will take this home. It's going to be MHLK Esports versus GPX. And let's not forget, this is an elimination series, so every game counts.
Exactly. Their final time in towards the Snapdragon Pro Series here. On this final series, one of this team will advance and one of this team will be eliminated at 4th place. But right from the get-go, we do see a little bit of a creep cut coming in from Ziri, coming from GPX to try and prioritize top lane aggression, whereas there's absolutely nothing that Arlo can actually do to pressure this based on how quickly a Terisla can wave clear.
Yeah, we can also see that how they started off by trying to protect the Ling from being invaded, because yeah, we all know that Ling very, very heavy on the purple buff, must have it, so we can see the protection there from the middle, shooing them off, and like what's mentioned during the interview as well is that they want to ensure that the jungle is clear, like keep them out of jungle.
Exactly. In this case, GPX, they're in a little bit of trouble down towards the goal lane. MHLK Esports wants to make sure that CY has a better lane, but I'm surprised CY drafting a Harif against a Melissa right there early as well doesn't necessarily mean that he can't do too much unless he has his Examine Force, but we do see the emblems already being drafted as well. Let me see. Cooldowns coming in from Faramis. We do see penetration as well coming from Harif, so we are going to be expecting early aggressions coming in. But speaking of early aggressions, Kribu taking a little bit too much damage, but Kribu almost having his feathered airstrike, so that means GPX might be in position to actually one-shot one of the players coming from MHLK Esports.
Oh, this is very early from GPX, trying to zone off the members of MHLK Esports from getting the turtle, but looks like we might see a first blood.
Oh, might not happen as well. EX will be able to flicker out. Ziri still using his early penalty zone. That means this upcoming fight, they are going to lose a little bit of CCs. Feather Airstrike expended as well. CJ taking a little bit too much damage to go at GPX. Now, has to play this a little bit safe, but Calvin doesn't have the purple buff. He's looking for the steal here. CJ with the counter keeps him alive, but GPX takes their turtle. And now MHLK, they are kind of trapped as well. The wall is coming in, but fortunately for them, they will be able to get out.
Oh, okay, that's a really, really good start here by GPX, because they started off early by zoning off the rest of MHLK Esports, not allowing them to come close to the turtle at all. And that was like, what, a minute before the turtle was spawning, so they had it in the back there. But that also means that other areas are kind of open. So for MHLK Esports, instead of like trying to push for the turtle, they could farm somewhere else, especially on the bottom lane that was kind of left a little bit open.
This is so funny coming from GPX. Like, they're sending on Grok coming in. And the thing about Grok is that you don't really know whether or not he's going to be backed up by teammates or not. And that's the thing about what MHLK Esports is lacking right now, is that they don't have zoning potential to actually challenge against a Grok. And ever since they do that, this is going to be happening here, because immediately NIX tries to eco challenges, gets punished for it, and the invades continue as there's absolutely nothing Kelvin can do to actually punish this aggression coming from GPX.
Look at the movement here by GPX. They're doing the same thing from before. 1 minute before the turtle comes up, they're already zoning everyone for MHLK Esports, not allowing it to come. And you still have a lot of time, so they're not leaving it late for MHLK Esports to kind of get into position. They are ensuring that MHLK Esports had to be spread out very, very early on. And this turtle can be secured by GPX, but of course, at the end of the day, depends what MHLK Esports is going to do. Doesn't seem to be interested. We can still see Calvin is still on top doing his own thing. So they'll probably let this turtle go.
Yeah, this is tough, especially for Calvin, right? For a Ling, you kind of want to snowball their way through, but in this case, forcing in very early retribution. This next turtle fight is going to hurt him a little bit more for MHLK Esports, whereas GPX, they're looking to try and power vault in towards this upcoming turtle battle, and most likely he's going to concede as well. Feather Extra comes in as well as the wall charge. It is going to be missing by a pixel, and now MHLK Esports, they are going to try and punish this as well. Divine Judgment pulls in Fredo QT, so that is going to be a kill for MHLK Esports, and this might be the opportunity they need to contest the turtle in their favor.
Oh, wall charge, but he forgot there's the Examine Force there to kind of stop him on his tracks, and at the end of the day, the Divine Judgment is the one that did the job. So now, without a Grog, they don't have a big tanky hero to actually tank out the rest of MHLK Esports. There's opportunity for them to get in the turtle.
Yeah, fortunately for him, Fredo QT does have to pull yourself together, but on the side, we do see the Examine Force already used to actually spam onto a ward, but with the turtle being resetted because of the wall coming in from the Grog, they are forced to commit to this fight, and they do get one kill on top of the back lines. GPX overextended their stay, and they will lose Ray as well as Kribu in this process. And MHLK Esports is got to be happy about this, as they are going to try and contest for more. But Daizo getting a little bit greedy for that play will get punished by Ziri. But the turtle is going to be up for grabs for MHLK, guaranteed.
Oh, how is GPX going to do this now? Pretty QT, there's nothing much he can do. He's just a bystander there. Yeah, Ziri can try to steal it away, but the likeliness is definitely very low. MHLK Esports now secures the turtle, so it's going to be one turtle each.
Yep. It is going to be very, very difficult now. But at the same time, this is exactly what MHLK Esports need in order to kind of scale back in the game, especially when Kelvin needs to be snowballing his way through. Look at this. Even though Raids died, he's almost 2 levels ahead of Kelvin, which is going to be a big problem for this thing, where he's just losing out so much resources across the map because, considering how GPX is just pressuring the jungles in all fronts.
Yeah, because I can see what Kelvin is trying to do, right? He's just trying to avoid all those spikes, try to focus on getting the gold, try to focus on getting the levels. But whenever he goes like on top, even whenever he tries to jungle invade on the side of GPX, there's always someone there. So it's not like he has an easy jungle so far. Yes, there's some protection at the early stage of the game, but when it's starting to reach the 5th minute of the game, they're starting to see the pattern that Kelvin is trying to do and trying to stop him from getting those goals in the back.
Yep, that is going to be a big problem as well. We do see cross-map plays as well. GPX have sending the Teresa to go in and cut the backlines down the bottom lane. That means MHRLK Esports, they are going to lose out potential XP laners. And in this case, they're sending Kelvin down to clear out the wave. So this next upcoming fight is going to be without the link. And GPX, all they got to do is just buy time. They don't really need to commit to this fight, knowing that in the later stage game, they will scale so much quicker compared to MHRLK Esports.
Oh, that was a close one. If only Fredo QT he checked the left bush, then he would definitely get his target. But yep, it is what it is at the end of the day. So right now, again, the next objective is going to come up, but this time, a little bit of a switch of a strategy here by GPX. They're not going in for the objective, instead they're going for the tower.
Yep, it is going to be playing a little bit of safety net. 5 seconds left on the turret down bottom. They are going to be making their way, and fortunately for Kelvin, he will be able to trade a tier 1 down bottom. Meanwhile, you do see Fredo QT already starting to slow down those rotations coming from MHRLK Esports, expecting potential catches coming in. But seems like they are going to try to scuffle down middle. And here he comes. Flicker goers with the Divine Judgment. They're going for the catch. Fredo QT will be able to survive, get out. Ziri also flickering out, but they do force out the counter altar. That means GPX is going to be able to get the full reset in. They're trying to get a little bit more, but they're delaying for this turtle push. Now, MHRLK only has 2 options. Force the turtle or back out, but either or, GPX, they know they are in position to contest this, knowing that MHRLK does not have massive ultimates.
Yeah, it's kind of like a 50-50, right? Like both teams actually use their ultimates, but at the same time, we do see that GPX use their flickers as well, so that's going to be a little bit of a risk. Kelvin!
Kelvin, what a steal from behind! Steals it off, and now with the turtle buff, they're forcing a fight against GPX, and they're all split off. Mistakes were made, and now GPX, they have to retreat, and MHRLK Esports were able to strike where it hurts.
Wow, Kelvin came out of nowhere to steal it away. Nicely placed by Kelvin. Everyone was pretty much focused towards the middle river, but no one really saw Kelvin coming from behind. I mean, that's the beauty of having a link.
Oh my goodness. Did not expect that. 2 times now. GPX kind of messed up this rotation, even though they should have won. But MHRLK Esports was able to funnel and focus fire on the right targets. And GPX now seems to be a little bit over expected. Did not expect this as well. Expecting that it might be the Divine Judgment to opening it up. But eventually it all comes down to whether or not CJ gets the big final slash to set up for a big AoE. In this case, CY and Kelvin definitely has those kind of AoEs. And GPX has to start respecting that.
Not only that, just look at this. 2 turrets at bottom lane down. So looks like what the composition that MHRLK is playing right now, split push competition, is working out for them. GPX, they are playing the catch-up game now.
Yeah, it is going to be a catch-up as well, because every single time GPX tries to force a 5v5 fight, if they do fight in a position where not all 5 are able to easily commit to those fights, whereas MHRLK Esports has been able to just power through, knowing that GPX is trying to stall certain flank angles, and because of this rotation that League provides to the table, GPX is always going to be behind unless they were the ones that set the tempo on how they want to dictate the lanes. But as of now, there's nothing much they can do. They are going to lose another tier 2 up top. So that means map control completely in favor of MHRLK Esports, except for the middle control.
Oh, but they will get it very, very soon. Now they're going to focus on the middle. I mean, looking at how the game is being played, how is GPX going to catch up to MHRLK Esports because of the level of mobility that they have? They have the Harry, they have the Link. That's good enough for the split push to happen. And if it's not them, of course you can send anyone else. But if you have them, then they're all over the map. Right now, it's pretty much of them trying to catch Link, but they're not able to do so.
Agree, but at the same time, they have to stall for time. But speaking of stalling, Divine Judgment comes in, is not going to give them that opportunity to do so. Final Slash going to stop Creepo's Feathered Airstrike. That means no massive ultimates coming from GPX to contest this. Meanwhile, they need to buy time for the Melissa to come online. Ziri with the penalty zone, not going to be connecting here. Gets pulled back to play, gets picked apart. Finally, the count altar comes in, but GPX, they've lost all ultimates here. Melissa with the big go away, but instantly gets melts to the Faramis. Big damage. Unfortunately, not tanky enough. Not enough damage as MHRLK Esports is going to be able to fight back. But eventually, that is what the Melissa is going to be aiming for in towards the later stage of the game.
Oh, discipline here, ladies and gentlemen. Just look at how MHRLK Esports plays it. They go in like, okay, they go in, they tap a little bit, they come back out, they force GPX to come to them instead of them coming towards the side of GPX. And that gave them the advantage of like pulling skills away from GPX. And when GPX throws all their skills, not getting anything, that's where MHRLK Esports counters.
This is a problem now. Now with the Lord down to its 20% health, they have to force by wall charge to stop his way through, but they get the steal coming in from Ray. They get the Lord, and finally they get the execution. What a wall charge setup to stun their way through. But with that being said, they trade 2 for 1. This is exactly what GPX has been eyeing for, and this is go time for them because there is going to be a lot of space for Watt to start to scale back.
Oh, GPX, they've been waiting for the moment for them to overly focus on the Lord, and that is where GPS just comes in at the right timing, and plus the Lord stun kind of helped them as well. That was the right time for GPS to come in and actually wipe them out. But then again, they have Kelvin to do it. Kelvin last hit!
He actually got it, Ziri, on the first kill with the Feathered Airstrike. Mistakes coming from Kelvin. 30 seconds on the sidelines. GPX might be able to get more than they asked for because as of now, MHRLK Esports, they have to back out. Wall charge cancels and AX forces the count altar as well. The wall to stop them in the track. They're all stuck. But are they going to continue this fight? Ray, they are trying to extend this fight, but Juan still thinking if he wants to commit because of the Salmon Force, it's just not worth it. But still, that means MHRLK Esports, they will be on borrowed time. They've used up ultimates, but GPX, they seem to be able to get a little bit more out of this upcoming fight.
Oh yeah, in fact, in terms of goal difference, GPX now has the advantage, so it's more than just the fight, it's also the goal advantage as well. And on top of that, they managed to even up the odds at least when it comes to the turrets because they were behind. But they need to be ready next because right now, because their inhibited turrets are exposed, there's Ling lurking. Ling was at the bottom, Ling was at the top. This is going to be a big problem for them if they don't try to deal with Ling. Or if they can't deal with the Ling, they gotta quickly deal with the rest of them, ensuring that Ling has no option but to come back.
Agreed. Let's talk a little bit of problems that both teams are facing, right? MHRLK Esports, their biggest problem is going to be killing the Melissa and the Farsa. In this case, speaking of which, your final slash comes in, but there's no follow-up penalties. They're going to be isolating the back line. Salmon Force also going to be expended, but the Melissa is just popping off, killing off in Nayax, and there's nothing they can do about it. One, they will continue to fight, but wall charge is going to connect on the ball, and MHRLK Esports, they're getting picked apart. CJ, they're trying their best, but eventually Kelvin is able to salvage the fight, gets a very, very big crit coming in. But now he's isolated. He doesn't have energy to go for all. Ray is looking for the hunt. Can he escape this? Doesn't have the promo buff. But now down towards the 1 HP as well. He's out maneuvering Ray. He is going to get out, and Kelvin will survive this.
Triple kill for Kelvin in that fight itself. So Kelvin, when he needs to fight, he'll be there. He knows how to execute it. Beautifully done by Kelvin. I mean, they were playing catch-up with Kelvin at some point as well, but totally ignoring Kelvin at the start of the fight because of how much mobility that Kelvin has. That's why they kind of focus on those other heroes that has lesser mobility, but that also allowed Kelvin to put out a lot of damage. Hence, right now, we can see the stats do favor Kelvin. 6-1-3 in terms of KDA. Beautifully done by Kelvin.
Oh my goodness. Let's talk about replay a little bit more here because starting things off, it felt like a little bit of awkward fight from GPX. They tried to force the issue, isolated the Harif as much as they can, but as soon as they overcommit, Watt was right in the middle where you can see there's just big boy damage coming in from Calvin. Just get very, very big huge crits and combos on the Watts to a point where because the go away was not available, it just became a very easy target for Kelvin to kill him off.
I mean, And that was Kelvin without the purple buff behind you. If he had the purple buff, who knows what would happen there, right? But
Yeah.
right now, it's going to be the objective next, so it looks like GPX is going to start it. Kelvin is away because he's busy at the mid lane. But then again, MHRLK Esports, they could still buy time, but GPX not going to allow them.
Oh, wall charge comes in to start things off. They're all stunned up. They're getting grouped up. The countdown time buys a little bit more time to survive this. But look at this. Kelvin once again with the big point damage. They're all breaking zoned out. They're underestimating the power of the Ling as they itemize for the mage is starting to hurt them in the back. And GPX, they have to start respecting what this Ling is bringing to the table and eventually itemize accordingly, because from what I'm seeing from the itemization list, none of them actually has a Dreadnought armor nor an anti-Cuirass to deal with this thing, and this is actually allowing Kelvin to do so much value in all these team fights just because they're so afraid of what Harith as well as the Faramis is bringing out this fight. And this is gonna hurt them because Kelvin is looking for the steal, but the Lord will be secured by GPX once again, and MHRLK, they're backing out.
Kelvin had kind of like a 50-50. He was like at the top lane. I think I was kind of thinking of like, okay, do I want to go for the split push or do we want to go in for the team fight? So if he actually went for the split push, well, at least he would have like pushed the minions up to the top half. But then again, he chose to come over, but that's okay. He's just showing that he still has that mobility that GPX will have a problem to deal with. So right now, I think the baseline thing that GPX can do is try to cut Kelvin for getting the purple buff.
Agreed. Now Kelvin is going to get focused down as well. He does have the damage, and that's something that GPX is starting to early. But like I said once again, based on the items as well, they need a green armor to actually tank the Ling, and none of GPX members actually have that. And it is actually benefiting Kelvin from dishing out all this damage. Now, the FedEx trying to zone them out. MHRLK Esports, they might potentially losing an inhibitor, but GPX, they can't really do too much. They have the damage, but they can't soak Kelvin's damage at all just because of the itemization right now.
Well, they still got an objective, which is the inhibitor turret, so job done now. But they see Kelvin at the top lane, but come on, not going to go in for the chase. So what they're going to do is that they're going to cut the purple buff away from Kelvin. They're just going to take it anyway, regardless whether they need it or not. So that leaves Kelvin probably without a purple buff at this point, so without a purple buff, he can't really join in the fights.
Yeah, it is going to be very, very difficult. But now, to give you guys a little bit of a picture as well, based on the itemization, like I said as well, no Dreadnought armors or anti-Cuirass up on GPX, knowing that the Ling is not going to be in most of these fights. But if the Ling decides to join the fight, they are going to hurt, especially for the Melissa, just because there is no Winds of Nature, anticipating that both the Faramis and the Harith is going to be the core DPS from MHRLK Esports. But little did they know, the finisher is actually going to be the Ling, who arguably has an endless battle, a Berserker's Fury, as well as a DHS. But now the counterplay comes in.
Oh, here we go. Beautifully done indeed. Nice pullback, but then again, the counterplay, like what you said, Siri gets it, What gets it, but Kelvin is still there to dish out the damage, and Kelvin is still full of health.
Oh my goodness, look at him. He's going to get free damage here. Oh, but like I said as well, he doesn't have the purple buff. Ray is going to be able to trade off Daizo here. Kelvin needs to go in for the full charge, but he doesn't want to overcommit, knowing that if he does, he might risk getting killed off. So GPX, they are able to trade 3 for 1, but at the same time, they lose one of the biggest high ground attackers so far from the side of GPX. But eventually, they have to buy time. CY, however, going to be looking to pick a fight. The purple buff will be secure, but they do scout out where Fredo QT is. So that means Kelvin is going to guarantee his purple buff unless he forces retribution. Oh! The wall charge comes in. Kelvin, he might be able to escape this. He's going to be A-OK. GPX overcommits to this. Both junglers doesn't have retribution now for this Lord fight.
Yeah, the previous fight was a good example of how what Kelvin would do without the purple buff. Yes, he can still dish out damage, but then again, he has a limitation there. So that kind of gives advantage towards GPX to kind of win the fight as well. So right now, after that fight, resets happening. back onto the objective. The Lord will want to be secured by GPX.
Exactly. Look at this as well. Kelvin already in position to cut the creep waves and join this team fight. GPX, they're a little bit baffled here. What do? They don't have retributions yet. They both teams just got it as well, so they are going to be able to actually contest this. But MHRLK, they're getting very, very patient with this as well. They are looking for the resets. There is a huge creep wave from the top side for GPX. They can try and install this here, but the concealed plays from MHRLK Esports. They are going to try going for the flank, but GPX, they're not making the play. But here comes the counter concealed. MHRLK, they scout this out. CJ forces a flicker and the final slash. They are going to be forced to retreat this, to go in for the housekeeping to clear off the minions here. But literally no, Kelvin is still stalking the back lines, but they are going to force a fight. Count Altar comes in. They are going to get a 4-3-man penalty zone from Fredo QT. And now, with the Feather Airstrike coming in, Ziri needs to disengage, but they're not overcommitting. They're having the Lancelot forcing a couple of fights in, but Ling has not shown themselves yet, as Kelvin still waiting for the moment to actually fight back. They're buying time, but the minions is pushing back to the back lines, and MHRLK Sports, they're getting picked apart. They're getting delayed by Ray. They're throwing bodies for this to let the minions win the game. And GPX, they are able to punish this confusion. And MHRLK Esports, they are going to lose members. And the minions still hitting on the crystal. MHRLK Esports, they don't have the numbers. And GPX will take game 1.
I really, really like how they use the Lord fight to kind of